Good morning, gamers. Evening, afternoon for people who are in different parts of the world. So we got a interview here with Phil Spencer. I always love doing interviews on him. He's going to be covering what he thinks about Game Pass and what he thinks about like other models outside of that. But mainly he projects on why he thinks Game Pass isn't for everyone, why everyone doesn't need to get Game Pass to necessarily justify their lifestyle. Like, for example, you notice people that buy probably a couple games a year. As we see right here, Phil Spencer says Xbox Game Pass is not for everybody. We'll get into that in a second because I've been explaining this to people. You gotta always listen to what I say because I know what I'm talking about. Trust me. I look at Game Pass as a healthy option for certain people. Mhm. It's obviously the most pro-consumer. That's not really an argument. That's just understanding that it is. If you play one or two games a year, it probably isn't the right business model for you. You should just buy those two games. So, for example, we got an interview too. We're going to get into with this, read some more details on what he's saying. If you buy, like, for example, there's people that I know that will buy sports games every year, right? And that's basically what they play. There's no need for them to have Game Pass. FIFA's never going to be on Game Pass. NBA 2K, sometimes it will, but you know what I mean? If you want to be there day one and be all into those worlds, there's no point. There's people that buy Call of Duty every year, you know what I mean? Because they're going to be playing it yearly, and they literally will sit there and play Call of Duty only. There's people that only play Fortnite, you know what I mean? Or maybe you play like another game that's kind of similar with that. There's no reason for those people to play Game Pass. You know what I mean? Because what is that going to do for them? And then there may be people that play games like that, and a bunch of games stack up, and then they could grab Game Pass for a little bit for that month, catch up on what their backlog has, and they may just drop it off real quick because they just don't have the time. There's some people that are married in a relationship, have kids, like to play the games that they have. Like they might play a Diablo game every day. You know what I mean? Path of Exile. So if you like look at the gaming community, you will get the idea that yeah, not everybody has the mentality of wanting to rent something. Some people like to only own stuff. Some people only like physical media. It all really depends. So like if we go on some of these comments, let's see. Look what this guy says right here. Would rather own my games and make the choice rather than a subscription making the choice for me. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a ton of people in the gaming industry that are like that. And who's to say that's a wrong statement? And then like when stuff like that is made, you'll see comments like this. You do know you can still buy games that are on Game Pass, and that's true, and you can get a discount for some of them. Usually a 20% discount. So think of it as try before you buy. Don't blindly hate. Now this is where I would say he's wrong because it's like, well, hold on. He never said he hated it. He just said that that model is not for him. You don't have to necessarily hate it or not like it. It's not necessarily negative because somebody does not want to be subscribing to Game Pass. Like he says right here, show me where I said I hate Game Pass. That's where I think that people on the other end, it's like, yeah, you may be enjoying that benefit, but that doesn't mean everybody else sees it like that. Because you're also looking at a very small portion of the gaming community. Bill Spencer is going to highlight some of that stuff too in this interview, and we're going to get into that. Um, and what do I mean by like a small portion? Well, for example, I've explained this to people before. If you look at the PlayStation community, which has over 100 million plus people between PS4 and PS5, if you look at the Nintendo community, which has pretty much 130 million active users, which I just clarified the other day, if you look at the PC community, which has like, 100 plus million active people, if you look across Steam and all of that stuff, I'm not going to add those other fake numbers because that's just like me saying, oh, let me add up all Nintendo's consoles ever sold and say, oh, shut up. I'm going to look at the people that are playing Steam, people that are actually playing video games, not just because it's just a PC on the market. Like, those people ain't playing video games, they're just browsing. But, anyways, you could still find like 400 million people outside of that, right? In the gaming industry, plus mobile, another couple 100 million. So we could possibly have six, 700 million active people, though gaming has clearly over 2 billion people now, which is actually really amazing, and the biggest entertainment industry in the world, that are waking up every day looking at a market that games are on sale. They're buying games. Even it may just be cheap games on sale. You know what I mean? Like on GOG, You have that too. Epic Games, Amazon gives out their free games monthly. PlayStation does as well too if you're subscribed to their Plus, just even a basic one. And they're looking to buy games, and 90% of the gaming community is still like that. So Game Pass can still only reaches a certain amount of people in the grand scale, because the Xbox community only has like 30 million sales on the series consoles, right? Somewhere around there, maybe 32 million now, 33 million, who knows? Somewhere around that bracket. But outside of that, there's still billions of gamers, and they're not on Game Pass. You kind of catch the drift? So Phil Spencer's going to say this too, where he's like, well, yeah, so how am I going to get these people? Well, you're going to have to think of a different strategy if they're not interested in that service. And that's a lot. And this is where I feel like if there's people only in the Xbox community that have that type of Game Pass mentality, they may try to project that onto other sources of gaming to think that that's anti-consumer because they're not like Game Pass. I'm like, no, that's not how the gaming industry works. You're thinking in a small boxed mindset. You need to look at the bigger picture and see how the whole spectrum works. Because if you only think like that, then you're only thinking about a small portion of the gaming community. You see, from a business standpoint, that's a stupid mindset. Because you're talking to somebody that's sitting behind trillions of dollars too. It's different when you're looking at the common denominator of the average person, of the average gaming company. And then you're like, wait, okay, so yeah, this game isn't really real though. That's just Microsoft playing that game. That's it. No, nobody else. Sony has like a hybrid aspect of it. Nintendo has their retro online aspect to it. But most people are buying those consoles which are not focused on a subscription service, and they sell the most and sell the most games, and they want to buy video games and they want to own them. Or they want at least some type of like digital license to where it's like, okay, my subscription ran out. I got to pay the subscription again. Continue probably playing the same game that I'm playing. Then I'm feeding the subscription beast in. You know what I mean? And at that point, no, it's better for me to buy the game. Definitely if the price goes up to $25, which may happen at the end of the year or this year or maybe next year. Who knows about that though? But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. We're going to get into the interview. I highlighted some certain parts on this, but I wanted to explain that so people can understand what he's saying because it's something that I've been trying to tell people. And guess what happens every time I tell people something? You'll see the main individual that is promoting that tell you that it's not for everyone. It can't reach the whole thing. And it's a certain business model for a certain crowd. Mm-hmm. So, how are you viewing Game Pass ongoing role and larger Xbox business models right now? They asked Phil Spencer. He says, I'll start with just how many people are playing games. I've always thought about Game Pass as just another option for somebody who wants to play. That's good. We have many business models for people from free to play. This is a huge market. There's a lot of cheap people, and a lot of people are just not in a good position. Like there's still a lot of poor people in the world, but if you live in a bubble, you wouldn't understand that. Free to play, buying games, which is the main thing. Discounted games, which is basically discounted buying, and then you have Game Pass, which is a Microsoft model for putting only their first party games there day one because they don't believe in their games selling. And in order to remedy that, then let's get the sales that we would want on Xbox through PlayStation and Nintendo and PC as well, while having our model to make our brand look more pro consumer. So we told you not to buy our console, you don't need to. Just like you don't, Game Pass is not for everyone. But at the same time, we still want to get those benefits. So I still always thought that was a smart way, that if you basically left the console war and you realized it was over, and now you're basically kind of migrating and hybridizing yourself into a PC aspect and kind of just siding with PC. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you need help, you need help. Because like I said, we're in an industry where, which is the best thing to me in the world, it has a soul. And you can't just buy everything and think that it's all good and now everything is taken care of you. And the video game industry is a lot more than that. And that's what I love about it. So you can't just come in there and then just hit the buy button and everything's yours and you win and you're in first place. Nope, doesn't work like that. And that's amazing. But he's offering you these different business models, which, if, like I said, we take a look at these four business models, The least is Game Pass because the majority of the gaming industry is doing free to play, sales discounted, and buying games. Hmm. Ponies, sit down. Y'all don't buy as many games as you should either, except other people's games, not your own platforms. That's what makes the Nintendo community way more intelligent than y'all's community because they realize, wait, yeah, we need to support their games. Plus, they're just way better anyway. So, um, that's why people are not buying stuff like Astrobot, which would have sold a lot better on their ecosystem. Because they have a good balance of a community. It's not just catered to a one-dimensional, uh, you know, mindset, which mostly cinematic third-person rush up or buy Call of Duties. Like yeah, like I hate to say it, but it's very true. Like if you look at the Xbox community and the PlayStation community, PC community is a little bit more unique. They're the most generic communities in the gaming industry. And Nintendo and PC community are very interesting communities because they, to me, um, have a different focus of crowds. And I think you guys know what I mean. Like you'll find the VR stuff on PC. You'll find people do different stuff with like mods and stuff you would never see people do on consoles and just the mindsets that people think games they would never support, but you'll see them support that in the PS4 world where it's like, yeah, we ain't supporting that crap. Same thing, it doesn't even exist in the Nintendo community. You know what I mean? And like when you look at the genres they support and the communities they support, like definitely more friendly, fun communities. They're not getting up saying, "I can't wait to play GTA. I can't wait to play Call of Duty. Can't wait to play Madden, 2K." You know, the same cycle over and over again. Those communities are not like that. They don't support those type of worlds. That's why I say the PC and Nintendo community are like really more gaming oriented communities than the Xbox and PlayStation community. Not that those are not gaming communities, but they'll get up and just um particularly can just not game and socialize and be all this other stuff where it's like if I get on the Switch, I'm literally there and it's literally designed only for gaming and I'm playing video games all day. I'm not getting into drama, arguing with people in party chats, getting on Netflix drama, focusing on all these things that are just not 100% gaming related. And if they do, it's your typical, oh yeah, he's on Fortnite, you know what I mean? Oh, he's on Call of Duty, it's like, oh yeah, generic communities. Yeah, there needs to be more creativity there. So that's one thing I like that Microsoft is kind of doing with Game Pass, because with the Game Pass model, at least you can kind of put some of those on there, but like you don't have a big enough community to diversify those type of genres where people will want to support them. That's hard to do, even in the PlayStation community. That's why I said when Astrobot platforming launched, nobody wanted to support that. But you drop something like a Last of Us 3, oh, that sells millions. But it's your generic, westernized movie shoot and kill game. You know what I mean? Survive. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But if you put something different in front of them that they're not comfortable with, they have a liability to not support it. PC and Nintendo communities, not necessarily. They buy the most games. They're in PlayStation, depending on which game. If we don't talk about third party, but let's continue over here. So when I'm looking at Game Pass, I want to make sure that the hours that people are playing continue to go up. That the new people see this as a way for them to find and build their library of games. And we remain focused on that. Our biggest areas of growth right now are PC and cloud. Of course, because nobody's going to buy the Xbox console anymore the way y'all, like Satya is setting it up. You're telling them to go elsewhere. Like, I don't see why I want to turn mine on. I still have my Series X, but I could sell it. And at GameStop trading value is very tempting because I have my high-end gaming PC right here. I can just click on Xbox right there and play everything on max settings with my Xbox controllers. You know what I mean? Like the PC controller that I tell people I've been using, which is different than my Series X controller. I use this one right here and I love it. It's a limited edition controller. And then I got the one I use on my Series X over there or whatever. And same thing with my PlayStation controllers and all that. I've never used a PlayStation controller on my PC actually. Though I know you can now. Back then you needed like drivers. Then they started to update it to make it more modern. So PC and cloud. And that's going to be over in Asia too, like he was saying, because they're just getting on your service and you're seeing that as a growth. They don't have to buy a console that costs 500 something dollars. If these people already own something, you can just add in an app and update your numbers, then it's going to make that seem like there's more player growth there, though they may not be active. That's what he's really saying. I kind of play these little PR games. So it's like I'm not going to tell you what he's really saying. Um, then he says, since consoles, right here, all up are a good business, they're an established business, but they're not a really growing segment in gaming. Okay. For Nintendo and PlayStation, that's not true, but for Xbox, yes. So it kind of seems that way. Maybe in the Xbox world. PC too, things are doing fine. It's growing. So we've got good growth on PC as we've got growth on cloud in terms of users and hours. And consoles continue to be a really healthy part of Game Pass. Mm-hmm. You condition them to not buy any games. They're not really going to. So, but there isn't a unique need for Game Pass to be the only way for people to play. If everybody who's a Game Pass subscriber instead decided to buy their games, that's good for the business as well. See, they're kind of hoping for that. They still want you to buy games, obviously, because they make more money that way. For me, I look at Game Pass as a healthy option for certain people. It's not for everybody. If you play one or two games a year, Game Pass probably isn't the right business model for you, which is what we were just reading on this earlier. You should just buy those two games and that will make total sense. But I want you to have the choice. So we remain focused on everything that's on Game Pass. It's also available to buy. We're making those games available to buy in more places. And I look at the overall hours of people who are playing on Xbox, playing our games. And that's the number that continues to grow fairly substantially. And that's really the metric I think about for success. And Game Pass has been an important part for that. So basically, what he's talking about is them reporting player counts rather than actual sales. It's a bit deceptive, but I get what he's saying. And after this, it's kind of just going into like Fallout, movie releases, Minecraft movie, stuff like that, right? And if we go back up like closer to this, there's more stuff. If you guys want to see more on this Phil Spencer interview, because he's just talking about Fallout Season 2 on the way, mixing Hollywood pursuits with Xbox priorities. If you get, kind of getting into the movie business and all that sort of stuff. So you can kind of see this stuff down here. And then what he says about Nintendo, which, you know what? Let's go ahead and find that real quick. Because they've always been a partner to them. So, okay, TV, studio. Um, Here we go. Switch 2 is set to be released soon. As you've begun to branch out with games available on PlayStation and Nintendo consoles, do you have plans for specific projects on Switch 2? And Phil says, so we've been supporting the Switch 1, as we saw. They had a together commercial and all that. I want to support Switch 2. Nintendo has been a great partner. We think it is a unique way for us to reach players who aren't PC players, who aren't players on Xbox. Mm-hmm. It lets us continue to grow our community of people that care about the franchises that we have. And that's really important for us to make sure we continue to invest in our games. I'm really a big believer in what Nintendo means for this industry, of course, and us continuing to support them. And getting the support from them for our franchises, I think, is an important part of our future. Uh, you know what I tell people about this too? Is that, like I said earlier, all those communities and all those numbers, if they're not coming to you, then it's better for you to go to them and branch out and team up. Mm-hmm. And learn some things from them. That's good. And if you're not a worldwide brand like Xbox, then it's good for you to put your games on a worldwide community that's way bigger than yours in a platform so that you could expand out and reach worldwide audiences from a gaming aspect. So I'm all for that. Does Nintendo reveal its next gen console make you antsy to announce what Xbox has coming next in that space? No, I think all of us in the industry should focus on our communities and the player base that we're building. I agree. I get inspired by what a lot of different creators do and other platform holders, but I believe in the plans that we have. Obviously, we're evolving what it means to be Xbox and meeting players in so many different places. There are 3 billion people who play video games on the planet, and I get up every morning and I think about how Xbox could be more relevant to those billions of people. And that's through making sure we're leading in how our games and our platform features can be available in many places, whether that's cloud, PC, you guys know the Xbox everywhere. So And then we got down to what I was talking about earlier. So that's basically it on there. You know, going down here, we'll just see this guy right here. I probably buy 2 to 3 games a month on average. And it's still not for me. Can't stand rental. I love my games collection. You see this guy right here. He buys a lot of games. I play more than 1 or 2 games a year. They buy a lot. That's why I say, like, you got all these different like crowds of people that when they look at like a rental service, it's not for them. Just like back then when you had like GameFly, you could say GameFly is the best deal in gaming, right? Or going over here, like I'm still going to buy my game. They're on their profile, they're on Steam, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and you could put that all in front of them, but it's not going to matter. And if you know the majority of the gaming community is that way, then you still have to adapt. And that's smart to think of from a business perspective. Not just this is just benefiting me. No, 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 no. How does this actually work? What is the demographic here? Let's look at all of this so we can get our answers here, right? Ponies, sit down. Uh, and I like Phil Spencer's take right here because he lets you know, yeah, I'm aware of that mindset. Yeah, we know. So we got to keep expanding and finding different ways. Like maybe that Steam edition. You know what I mean? Like they're trying everything they possibly can, and then they realize this will never get any of us in first place, obviously hardware wise. So we have to try to win in a different way, and that's where Satya Nadella's mindset came in. So interesting interview here. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great day. Like, comment, and subscribe. All right, y'all. Peace out.